Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Novel Knits. My name is Dehnel and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about knitting and reading mainly. Thanks so much for checking me out. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad to meet you. I like to talk about yarn and knitting, so that's basically what this channel is. If you are coming back, thank you so very much, especially, thanks in general, but especially if you've liked, subscribed, left a comment, or shared my YouTube channel on Instagram. I really appreciate it more than you'll ever know. So thank you very much. I am coming to you from my basement again here in southeastern Wisconsin. This setup seems to work well for me. So I like having a little something behind me besides just a white wall. So I'm going to stick with it for a while. But yeah, today I have for you, I'll do a really short vital few because I feel like it takes me too long sometimes to get to the knitting. I have 3 finished objects. They're all socks, spoiler alert. And I have some new cast-ons and a lot of works in progress today to talk about. I'm also going to show some yarn because I have fallen victim to fall yarn. Autumn is my favorite color and season. And in the words of Clara Parks, yarn loves me and wants me to have it. So there is a lot going on around here right now. So I'm really sorry if you're hearing my dog making noise in the background or my computer making noises. I'm sorry. That's just what happens sometimes in the office cave. Sometimes I get 17 emails apparently. Let's see, if you want to find me anywhere else on Ravelry or Instagram, you can find me as Novel Knit Girl, all one word. And yeah, that's me. I will not be putting extensive show notes down below. I'll just do links to my Instagram at Ravelry. And I do also have an Etsy shop, which I haven't talked about in a while because there really hasn't been many new things going up in it, especially in terms of hand-dyed yarn. But my sister-in-law did recently finish a couple more pom-pom wreaths, which we posted this past weekend. So I'll put a link to the shop there as well if you're interested in yarn, pom-pom wreaths, or original drawings, or a couple of my previous knitted shawls I have up on that shop as well. So, vital few. It's fall. It's so fun. I love the fall. It's interesting. Some days are still really warm here in Wisconsin, like high 70s, low 80s. But I'm ready to just put on all the knits, all of the sweaters, all of the sweatshirts. I love a hooded sweatshirt. I love fingerless mitts. I love hats. I love cowls. I'm ready for it all. And I get a little disappointed when it's too warm and I have to wear shorts again, which isn't a bad thing. It's fine. Yeah, and we're just transitioning here. So there are some days that really feel like fall, which is nice. We're finished with fall baseball tournaments for my son, so that's good. My daughter was in a homecoming parade for Palms last week. We're getting ready to have an 80th birthday celebration for my dad. So there's been a lot going on. I've been a little stressed out. It's a weird time, right? Because like we're doing a lot of things, but we're still in a pandemic, and yeah, it's a weird time. I'm still like kind of emotionally and like mentally all over the place. But overall, things are good. I don't have too many complaints. My husband and I are in week 5 of working out with our personal trainer, and I'm gonna say I think it's been pretty good. I think my results would be better if I could stop eating cookies and peanut butter M&Ms and carbs. But, you know, for going from really not doing anything to working out really hard a couple times a week, I noticed a few changes in my body and I feel really proud of myself. So I think that's been a good thing that's been going on. And yeah, other than that, I have been knitting, I want to cast on like 17 things. And it's really hard not to. I'm trying to commit to getting a few things done at a time, which never really works, right? So I think I'm going to cast on another sweater soon. I am really thinking about joining the new Stephen West mystery knit along with the shawlography shawl. I picked out some yarn, which I can show. I'm not sure exactly where it is right now, but maybe I'll show it at the end of my whips before I kind of move on to book club. And the only thing holding me back is not that I don't want to do it, because I do. But last year with the Slips Stravaganza shawl, the clues were so long and it was like all of my knitting time, and I fell behind and I couldn't keep up. And this time of year, there's other things I want to be knitting too. So that's the only thing kind of holding me back. So let me know if you're going to join along with the mystery knit along with Stephen West or not. I'm considering it. I haven't committed, but I'm really strongly considering it. But I also want to make a love note and join the knit along from Professor Pearl, because I've been wanting to make one for years, and at least a year, right? And this seems like a good opportunity to jump in and do that. I've started another sweater that I want to finish. I have another sweater whip that I haven't touched in like a year that I'd like to finish. I always have all the socks. I have 6 wound skeins of yarn right there that I want to make for Christmas socks. I mean, I cannot do it all, but I want to. So let me know what you're doing. I am definitely, around this time of year, I become a product knitter because I'm normally knitting for other people for Christmas. I always try to make my husband and my son a pair of socks for either Christmas or their birthdays. I try to make everybody a knitted item for Christmas. I make knitted ornaments. I do a lot of Christmas knitting. But for the most part, I'm very much a process knitter. I just love knitting, which is why I think I love knitting socks so much, because they're rhythmic for me. It's fun. It's easy. So I don't know. I just want to, like, if you could see the yarn that I'm going to knit with, you'd be so excited too. Maybe I'll show it again. Maybe today's going to be a lot of yarn showing. I don't normally show that much yarn, but I'm really excited about some of the projects I have coming up. So I'll add a section today that's called Future Dream Knitting. Future/dream knitting. So things I'm either definitely gonna do or things that I definitely want to do, because if you've been here for a while, which again, I really appreciate you putting up with me, because I come up with these ideas and plans and thoughts and arbitrary knitting goals, and they just always go out the window. So anyway, enough about this rambling. Let's get into showing you some knitting. So I'm going to come back in a little bit with, and oh my gosh, the words are just like, they've left me. I'm going to come back in a few minutes and I will show you my finished socks. So I'll see you then. Like I said, I have 3 finished objects to share with you today, but only 2 of them are here in person. And the other ones were not even started the last time I recorded, so I'm sorry, you won't see those. They are on my Instagram and Ravelry. I made them for my neighbor's daughter. She turned 12. Yes, 12. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And she's a really small girl. Her feet are the same size as my 10-year-old son's. So I was able to whip out a pair of socks for her really quickly using 56 stitches, magic loop, and they're cute. The yarn I used was Artistic Yarns by Abby, I believe, Abby Grasso. She makes these great yarns that kind of form, they look like really labor intensive yarns to create, like, so she does self-striping and self-patterning sort of, and these socks looked like candy buttons, like that candy that was like you would have to peel it off the paper. It was so gross. You ate so much paper. But yeah, they're really great, and she really likes them. And then I ended up also giving her another pair of socks that I'd made for my daughter a few years ago, before my daughter's feet grew to like the same size as mine. And they were really cute socks. I don't remember the yarn or anything. I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, except I was about to give her the socks and I realized one of the toes had like a stitch that was, I wasn't as good of a sock knitter back then, and I must have missed a stitch and somehow like sort of grafted it, but not really. And it looked like it was going to be a problem, and I tried to just repair it and it wasn't working, and I ended up just cutting it off. And since I was using the same pink yarn for cuffs and heels for the candy button socks, I just ended up putting on a new toe, and now she's got 2 pairs of socks, and I hope she likes them. Her mom sent me a picture of her wearing them, and she looked really excited. So I see her every day, so I'm sure she likes them. But it was just cute because she was like, "When are you gonna make my socks?" And I was like, "I don't know, honey. You're way down the list." And then I was like, I could make them for her birthday, and I did. So that was really great. The other socks that I finished are, well, I finished 2 more pairs, so I'm going to show them at the same time. Here they are. If you watched last episode, I was doing these 2 at a time, and I'll tell you a little bit about that experience as we go. But these are both the Hermione's everyday sock pattern. So if you look, there's like a 4-row stitch repeat, really easy to read and follow. The yarn that I used for this one is Tia's Terrific Threads in the colorway If You're Happy. And then this is just from Timber Yarns, a mini that was in one of their yarn blossoms. I will say one mini was not enough for either pair of socks. I had to break into a second. I was really lucky I had 2 of each of them. So yeah, they're great. Sorry, they've been folded in my closet for a couple weeks here. They both have the modified Eye of the Partridge heel flap and gusset, which was fine. When I do 2 at a time socks, I always cast on one needle, and I'll do like 3 rounds of ribbing, and then I'll cast on the other one on another needle and cast on about 3 rounds, or do about 3 rounds of knitting, and then I put them both on the same needle, and then I work them together until I get to the heels, and then I separate them again. It's just easier for me to do it that way. And then I don't like to do a contrasting toe. I don't know why. So unless it's really, like, it would look weird if I didn't, I usually just keep the toe in the stripes. And it gives it like a bullseye kind of effect. Not really, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I like it. So this one, same stitch pattern, I love. This is like my favorite color ever. So this is Nomadic Yarns in Merry Kitschmas. It's really hard for me to say for some reason. And then this again was another Timber Yarns mini that I used for the ribbing and the heel, same heel. And I've been thinking, these both fit me. They're nice. I'm going to give 1 pair to my neighbor. I haven't decided which one yet. I like them both. I kind of want to keep them both, but that's really selfish of me. And I don't need them. Do I want them? Yeah, but I don't need them. But I have been noticing I'm falling out of love with Kitchener toes. I always get that one little like weird flap, and then I kind of have to do some finagling to make it look good. And I just haven't been loving how they look. It looks really, and it's the wedge toe that I always do because it's my go-to. So I'm thinking about trying some new toes for my socks. I have the umbrella sock pattern from Kay Jones that I thought I would try to do an umbrella toe, and maybe I would like the shape and feel of that better. I'm doing a sock right now, toe up, and I like how that looks right now. I'm not a big fan of like the Judy's Magic cast on, but I've done it enough now that like I can do it and it's fine. The only thing I don't like about casting on toe up is I don't like, again, math. I don't like having to figure out where you need to place your heel, more or less. So I don't know. If you have any suggestions to make me love toes of socks more, I would be interested, because I've been noticing lately that at the end of the day, I haven't been loving the wedge toe, and I can try new things. I just tend not to, especially when it comes to socks. So I don't know. And it's not like it looks bad. It's just, I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about. Like when you finish and you Kitchener, and then usually there's like one side where like this side looks pretty neat and this side has like a hook to it, and I have to kind of like push it down and do a little like work to make it sit nice. And I don't know, I'm just not in love with this wedge toe right now. So suggestions are definitely welcome. So that's it for finished objects, but finishing 3 pairs of socks is nothing to sneeze about. And I'm close, I'm on the second sock of 2 more pairs, so I'm doing pretty good. I just have to switch over to Christmas sock knitting soon, which I don't really want to do. So anyway, yeah, I'll move on to works in progress next. Okay, I'm gonna apologize in advance because I'm probably going to have to lean over a lot to pick up my projects today. It's just the way that I'm situated here, and unfortunately, the one bad thing about this space is I don't have a table really in front of me to put stuff. So hopefully this isn't too awkward. So my first work in progress is I finally started the Throwover by Andrea Mowry. And I have been wanting to make this sweater for a really, really long time. And I finally casted it on, and I told her I did this, but just so that it's very clear, these are not my original color ideas. I stole the color palette of Laura from the I Heart Knitting podcast, and she makes the I Heart You bags, and I have a ton of those. In fact, I may have 1 or 2 to show today. But I saw her show her palette that she was knitting on her podcast, and that was when I was like, yes, that is exactly what I want to knit. So, and she said that she was flattered that I liked it enough to copy her her color scheme. But that happens to me, and maybe it happens to you too. Like where you see a pattern and you're like, oh, that's nice, and then you see it in certain colors or a certain yarn, and you're like, that's what I want. And that's definitely what happened to me with the Throwover. So, are you ready? Oh, and it's on too small of needles right now, so it's going to be really hard to show, but here it is, and I love it. Oh, I'm really bad at showing, so here it is. So I just finished the color work chart yesterday and there's some short row shaping in the back that you can maybe see here. I did mess up one of the wrap and turns, but I figure it's going to be in the back of the sweater, and I might be able to do some surgery afterwards if I need to. So I was a little disappointed with that, but I'm not going back because I don't like short rows that much. But yeah, I love these colors. I'm not a pink person, but I don't know, these colors just like spoke to me. So the colors I'm using are all from Knit Picks. And let's see, oh, not quite as awkward. The main color that I'm using is Wool of the Andes worsted weight in Onyx Heather. And then the other colors I'm using, I saved all the bands so I could tell you, is Fjord Heather, which is this blue. I don't know why I'm showing you the tag. Well, I guess you could look. And then this is Blossom Heather. It's just a really pretty soft pink. And then I believe this one, let's see if I know, Brass Heather is going to be my guess. Brass Heather, I was right. So those are the colors, and I'm loving it. And the bag that I'm holding is that I'm holding my yarn in is a little too small for all this yarn, but I really wanted to use it. This is from Stitching the High Notes, and it's a gardening bag. And I do garden in the summers. This was a terrible year for gardening for me. Nothing worked. I don't think I got to eat anything out of my garden really at all, except for some tomatoes. And it was just a failure of a year for me. So I have 3 standing garden beds, and then I did some pots, and it just didn't work. But anyway, this is what I strive to be, is a lovely gardener. My mom's so good at gardening, but where she has like a real green thumb, I've got more of like a neon green thumb, so I'm working on getting there. But anyway, I'm loving this knit. Once I split for sleeves, that's when I'm going to start my new sweater, my Love Note sweater, which means I'm going to have two sweaters on the needles, and they're both going to take longer to finish, but that's okay. That's okay. That's not a race, right? I would like the Love Note for Thanksgiving, and I would like the Throwover for Christmas. So that's what I'm striving for. Okay, my next work in progress. is in another bag by Stitching the High Notes. I hit a update once and I just love that. I love it so much. So these are my fall socks that I'm working on. I am loosely following a pattern called pumpkin spice latte socks. I say loosely because I'm not doing the heel called for in the pattern. I'm using the charts, but I don't, the instructions are really kind of confusing because again, math, that it's like, we'll figure out, and I want a pattern to just tell me what to do. I don't want to have to figure things out. But it's so cute and I'm really liking it, and they're really, really cozy. So here they are. I have one sock finished. So this one I'm starting toe up. I was gonna start it cuff down and just follow the charts, but I realized that I wasn't sure when I would have to start this chart because I didn't know with my gauge. I didn't want to screw it up. So I did start toe up. So I cast on down here and I did the toe in brown. And I think I did all the way through the pumpkins in like one day. I had like the best time. And this got real sloggy for me. I love tweed yarn. I love everything about tweed yarn, but it became a slog. And then I tried the magic heel pattern for heels. I just thought that would give me a lot of freedom for where my heel was, and I want these to be slouchy and cozy. I also did 72 stitches where normally I do 64 stitches for my own socks. So I made these big on purpose, and I love how they fit. I love how they feel. I mean, oh my gosh, the stretch is real, and the softness of Knit Picks Stroll Tweed is real. So I will not finish these by the end of the month of September, but they'll be done by the end of October for sure. And I love it. So I'm using 3 colors of Knit Picks Stroll Tweed. I don't know the colors, but there's not that many colors. And I remember this one is Firecracker, and it's actually more of a red than an orange, but it works really well. And then maybe Oatmeal. I didn't keep the ball bands for this one. Sorry, the dog. But I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm not going to show you the stitch marker because it came in a Halloween Advent that I got and I opened. And yeah, we're not even in October yet, but I loved every second of opening it. But it's a little bit of a spooky fall stitch marker. So I did cast on my second sock. Oh, goodness. This morning while I was waiting for the kids to get on the bus, and I am here. So this is what it looks like when you start toe up, and yeah. It's a little bit fiddly, but I'm sure it's just like after you do it enough times, it becomes like second nature, like a long tail cast on for me. So yeah, I'm loving these actually, but the body of the sock definitely turned into a little bit of a slog for me on this first one, but the color work, I mean, I can't believe I made that. I love the color work. And then there's the little coffee mugs on the top. The chart has like, I think where you would duplicate stitch a few like white spots to make steam. I'm not here for that. That's too fiddly for me. Someday I would like to learn duplicate stitch, but it's not in the cards for me right now. So that's my first sock whip, and I love it. I really, really, really do. Okay, and then it's a lot of socks today. I'm sorry. I have one other non-sock thing. I've put a little bit more time and effort into this Astrid sock by Tracy Miller, and this is in this bag by Sandy by the Lakeside. It's a couple years old. Alice in Wonderland. I love it. This is a great sock. It's got this neat color work up top, which is super duper easy. And I did get a work sock set from, this is Leo and Roxy, their marled sock yarn. I think they call it work sock. And then it comes with 2 minis. I did switch out the green because I wasn't sure there would be enough in the mini, even though there probably was. And I had a very similar green as well. So this is, I think, a Leading Men Fiber Arts green, but the rest of it is Leo and Roxy. It's got this ribbing pattern on the front, which makes it really stretchy. This one, again, I'm making 72 stitches for my mom. This is going to be her Christmas sock. I did follow the pattern for the heel flap and gusset. I'm doing a lot of heel flaps and gussets lately. I'm not normally that kind of person, but I've been following the pattern and not just sticking in my fish lips kiss heel because I'm comfortable with it. So yeah, this one's slow. I have been working on this at night while I'm reading with my kids. I make both of my kids read out loud to me at night, even my 13-year-old daughter, because I love reading. I want them to love reading, so it's a way that we read together. I don't make them do it for a long time, but you know, and then I know that we're getting comprehension too. So this is my while the kids are reading to me sock. So there's a ton of yarn here, and it's really soft. I have to say, at first I did not enjoy working with this yarn. It's a little splitty. It takes a little getting, it's really thin, so it takes some getting used to. Excuse me. But I do really like it. I think the only thing I wish I would have done differently, but I'm not going to fix now, is I wish I would have made the cuff longer. I followed the pattern, and it's probably going to look better on than it does here, but I just feel like it could have used a little bit longer of a cuff. But I really like it. I really, really, really like the sock. And I feel like I'm getting back into a rhythm with it, where I sort of fell out of a rhythm with it for a while. Okay, I'll do one more sock whip. Oh my God, what's wrong with me in the socks? I swear. This is one that I pulled out to work on for my whip down, and I'm very close to finishing this one. So this is in a bag by Craft House Magic. I hope you can see. Sorry, I had to look under it to see if you could see. Ellie, who lives in the UK, she does beautiful bags, and when I saw this one, I just had to get it because when I was younger, I'm kind of a pessimist. I don't know if you've picked up about that about me. I'm definitely a glass is half empty kind of gal. It's not that I'm not happy. I just tend to not expect things to go well. And so I used to joke when I was in high school and college that I just had a little rain cloud over my head all the time. And anyway, this made me think of that. So anyway, these are the Simple Skip socks, SKYPE. I always want to call them Skype socks by Adrienne Koo. Another super simple, super fun for two row pattern. Oh my goodness. Repeat. And they're just gorgeous. I mean, this yarn, this is like one of those skeins of yarn that's just magnificent. This is Yarn Cafe Creations in the Sulky color. I don't know if she still does this, but I love everything about it. So there's a lot of stretch to these because of the stitch ribbing effect, kind of. They are a little tight on me. I did do 64 stitches magic loop, but I think just because they fit me, they're just a little tight. I'm considering giving them to my daughter, but I don't know. They're just so pretty. So when I pulled this out of hibernation, I was right here. So I had done the cuff and I'd done like 1 or 2 repeats of the stitch pattern. So here it is. So I've been working quite a bit on these. I was doing really well, and then I started the new socks, so they've kind of been backburnered, but I really, really like these. And you can see there's a lot more color in the first one than the second one, which is really interesting. It's just how the yarn was dyed up, and they're very unique, and I love it. So I'm gonna see how they feel when they're done. And I may keep these, I may give them away. This stitch marker was given to me from one of my fiber share friends. She made it. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. She lived overseas. It was my only overseas fiber share partner, and it was really exciting. But yeah, she made the stitch marker, and it's a little sheep if you can't tell. So yeah, so these are great socks. They're coming along really well too. I imagine I'll finish these in the next week if I sit down for a couple evenings and work on them. They'll be done soon. And then my last work in progress is in my I Heart You bag. It's a little knitting, sewing, crafty bag. I love this one. Laura of I Heart You. If you haven't checked out her podcast, she puts out a really fun podcast too, and she always shows what bags she's working on, which can be really dangerous because I don't need any more project bags. But this is the, let me see if there's a picture. I don't know. My printer, it's a terrible picture. I don't even know if I should show you. It's the Slipped Rib Cowl by Jody Brown of the Grocery Girls. So I'm doing 2 Grocery Girl patterns right now. And I have made 2 slipped rib hats. So this stitch pattern is really familiar to me. And this I started when I was going to baseball games. I obviously didn't get very far. But it's really nice. So it's got this twisted rib on the bottom, and then it's got a 5-row, I don't know. I actually can't remember the details. As soon as I start knitting on it, it will come back to me. But yeah, it's just a really easy pattern. The yarn that I'm using is by Lady Dye Yarns in Chadwick and Timeless. So the pattern calls for like a DK weight and then a mohair, but I had this yarn and I wanted to use it. So I had signed up for a mystery yarn club from Lady Dye Yarns for Rent. I love musicals. Rent is one of my favorites. I was really like looking forward to it, and it came with the yarn and a pattern and some stitch markers, and overall it was really nice. But I've learned I don't really love mysteries because the hat pattern it came with had like lyrics on it. Not that I didn't like it, but I'm a 42-year-old woman. I don't want to be like broadcasting my love of Rent when I take the dog out for a walk in Wisconsin, you know? So I think if I was a different kind of person, it would have been perfect for me. But I really love the yarn. I mean, and the definition I'm getting on these stitches is fantastic. And it ended up being great. But I've just kind of learned that, like, other than advents, I don't really like surprises. I've signed up, but then I said I was going to do the Stephen West mystery, but I had a lot of feelings about it. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm not sure. Oh, the one modification I made on this is it's supposed to have a longer brim that's folded over. And because I cast it on at a baseball field, I just did long tail cast on and did half the amount of ribbing. So it'll be great. I really like it. It's coming along perfectly. I think next I'm going to move into some yarn acquisitions and dream slash future knitting, and then I'll get into a really fast book club for today because I'm going to spend a little bit extra time on yarn because I love yarn. All right, I'll be right back. So like I said, autumn is my favorite color. And I was looking around on the internet, as you do, and I wasn't really like, I was doing okay. I do feel like I was like not buying a lot of yarn. And then I don't even know why I went there or what happened, but I went on Rose Hill Yarn's website and it was over. So I'm going to show you some of the beautiful yarn that I got from there. It's not the only yarn that I've The nice thing about living in the United States is that Canadian yarn is more affordable, and they also, Rose Hill Yarns also does like some half skeins too. So this is one of the half skeins that I got. So this one is 231 yards with a 92 yard 20 gram mini skein. And this one is called Hot Chocolate Picnic. And the blues, the reds, the browns, it's just awesome. And if you're gonna cross the border to get yarn, you need to make it worth it, right? Oh my God, look at this one. So pretty, right? And they always post their inspiration photos, and it's like so amazing. So this one is Backwoods, and this one came with like a silver mini. Oh my gosh, can you see? I mean, give me a break. And then this one also came to live with me. It's called Deep Fall. Oh my God, this is my color. Just so pretty with all the grays and the oranges. And the speckles are just phenomenal. This one I thought could kind of straddle fall and Christmas. It's called A is for Apple. Really pretty. I mean, come on. I mean, from the bright green to the speckles to that deep like burgundy. Oh my God, right there. And they, so these ones are 463 yards, 100 grams, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And they bind their skeins really, really tight, because this looks like this is the same amount as like a more plump yarn, but they just, ooh, it's like really, really tightly wound. I don't know if that was the right terminology, but we're just gonna go with it. And then this one is called Country Cycle. Oh, that mint. Do I know what I'm going to do with any of these? Oh, no. No, I don't. But for right now, they're just coming to live with me and get admired every once in a while. And then the other fall yarn acquisition that I made was this from Moonglow Yarn Co. It's this gorgeous chocolate brown with these beautiful, beautiful minis, and it is called Haunted Rose Garden sock set. So pretty, so pretty. I actually have no idea. And this one is, let's see, Moonglow Yarn Co. 7525, so same as the other one. 463 yards, 423 meters. So these two, just the full skeins, are the same base basically, but just look how different they look when this one's wound so tight and this one is has more air to breathe. Just different styles, which is fine. So those made me very happy. And then I did, oh dear, sorry if you got a close-up of my face there. I did go through my stash and put a lot of yarn with a lot of different projects. And like I said, I'm considering doing the Stephen West shawlography. And I know if I do it, I want a pretty neutral palette. So I went through my yarns and found these. So if I decide to do the shawlography, these will be my colors. So this is Director's Interpretation by Leading Men Fiber Arts. It's like a super deep blue, which is a color I'm really into. Oh, there's a lot of hair on it. Sorry about that. I believe Director's Interpretation is like their one-of-a-kind colorways, but I'm not 100% sure on that. This Oathbreaker by Ex Libris Fibers. And this one's just got a little variation in it. It's mainly like a gray with some rust color and some orange. And yeah, so that one has a little variation. And then this is a one-hit wonder by a plucky knitter. And then another Leading Men Fiber Arts, this heirloom color, which I don't don't know what it is. It's a very, very neutral color, but I just think this is gorgeous. So yeah, that's there. And then another Leading Men, the Haunted Wood, which kind of fits with October, right? This is really pretty. Some variation in there. So this is what I'm leaning towards if I do it. Who am I kidding? I'm gonna do it, and I might complain a little bit as I do it, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna cast on. I really like this palette. I think it's gonna be really pretty. So this is living. Oof. In another I Heart You bag, camping themed, which I love. I did not camp this summer. It wasn't in the cards for us. We have to use my parents' RV to camp, and we just didn't have a lot of opportunity to do it this year. So, which is fine. It's totally fine. And then for the love note that I want to cast on, which, let me see. I have a couple. So here's the love note by Tin Can Knits. So it's a fingering and mohair held double sweater, and it's on pretty big needles. I've heard it goes pretty quickly. And right at the beginning of the pandemic, so like March 2020, I bought this yarn from Sweet Skein of Mine. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that's what it is, Sweet Skein of Mine. And this is her blush color. It's really not showing up as pink as it is. Like, this is a really pink color. I'm not generally a very pink person, but I think this will be really nice. Yeah, I am sorry that it's coming up a little like muted on the camera. But yeah, so this is what I'm planning to hold together. I have 2 skeins of both. I have the needles in here to do some swatching, possibly. We'll see if that happens. And also in here skeined up is yarn for my Rocket Tea by Tanis Lavallee. I don't remember the color offhand, but this was one of the kits that she was selling. So this is Tanis Fiber Arts in the Called For yarn. So that one is backburnered till after the love note for sure, but that's some definite dream knitting there. And then I just thought I would show you some of the sock yarn that I'm getting really excited to cast on for Christmas gifts. So this is probably going to be one of my next cast-ons. This is Nomadic Yarns in the Child colorway. So this is a self-striping yarn. My daughter is in love with Baby Yoda, Grogu from The Mandalorian, and she's got the sweatshirt that was her favorite for a long time. So I thought I would make those for her. This is another yarn by Artistic Yarns by Abby, and this one is called, I have the tag, Bacon and Eggs. And if you look, you'll see that that's the striping pattern. It stripes up like bacon and eggs. My husband's name is Nathan, so there's this whole eggs and bacon Uncle Nathan thing that his nephews do. So these will probably be started later on, just because his birthday is at the end of January, and I may have to prioritize some other socks before his socks. Another sock for me that I want to cast on is Spiced, I don't remember. I looked at it too so that I would remember, but I don't. Spiked Gingerbread Coffee by Yarn Cafe Creations in her biscotti sock base. And it's just like oranges and grays, and this is another fall color that I just really got excited about and really want to cast that on. The next one is for my dad for his Christmas socks. I've got coloring book yarns in Night Owl. So this is going to be like orange and blue and gray and white stripes, it looks like. So that'll be really cool. All right, I have 2 more. All right. This is Amanda Knits in Fox Farts, and I'm making these for my son. I asked him if he liked them, and he said yes. And I realize now that I have all of these socks almost, except for the Baby Yoda ones, have orange in them or like yellow. I'm definitely going through a thing here my fall colors are calling to me. So this one will be really neat. If you watch Needles at the Ready, Ray has used this yarn a few times, I believe. And then these will probably be for me. This is Stress Knits in Last Christmas. I originally wound these up for my daughter, and then I remembered I had the child, so I switched gears. So this might be just a beautiful little delicate pair of socks for me. Or someone else. We'll see. I mean, I like socks. What can I say? So that's it for yarn, all the yarny stuff. I did show a lot of yarn today, so hopefully that gave you some inspiration. I get so enabled from other podcasts that I try not to be an enabler, but I can't help it this time of year. I love the colors, and fall is just, the colors just inspire me so much, and I want to create with all of them. So I hope you enjoyed seeing them all. And if you want to stick around for a little book club, I'm just gonna it'll be in like a second for you, but it'll be tomorrow for me, because I actually have a hair appointment in a little bit that I'm gonna go and get my hair dyed, so I might look significantly different next time you see me. And I may look almost exactly the same. We'll just have to see how it goes. But I'm gonna just go through a really quick book club, and so if you're only here for the yarn, thanks, I appreciate you, and I hope you had fun, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. Okay, it only took me 5 days to get back here. So since I've last seen you, I hosted an 80th birthday party for my dad. It was fine. I'm glad it's over. It was a really nice time. One of my cousins didn't know what to get my dad for his birthday, so she ordered a belly dancer, and that was kind of I was like horrified, but it ended up being really funny and great, and yeah, I was glad that happened. And I ended up gifting the pair of socks, the If You're Happy socks that were the really bright striped ones, to my neighbor. She was having a rough day, and she went out to check her mail to see if there was anything good, and there wasn't. And I was like, it's an opportunity to gift her these socks. And I wrote her a little card and put them in her mailbox and told her to check her mailbox again. And she loved the socks, and they fit her great. I was a little nervous because her feet are a little bit smaller than mine, but I think with that pattern, that Hermione's Everyday pattern, there's just a lot of forgiveness, which is really nice. So I think that's all the updates I have the last 5 days. So this is why I never timestamp my videos. Sometimes it takes me a week between starting the recordings until I get them up. So, and of course my dog has to scratch herself right now, sorry. But yeah, that's why I never tell you what day I'm recording, because stuff like this happens to me, or I just have to sit on it and psych myself up for 5 days before I can post it. So anyway, on to book club. I did finish Hooked on You by Kathleen Fuller. I gave this 3 stars on Goodreads. I don't know, this took me a long time to read. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. It felt just very slow to me a little bit, and very PG. And not that there's anything wrong with PG books. I do not need adult content to make me happy. I kind of felt like their problems weren't that big, if that makes sense. And the author, Kathleen Fuller, she is a crocheter. She lives in Arkansas, and I believe she modeled some things after Arkansas Yarn Company. Hang on. Oh, here she is, feeling better. I was a little worried about Penelope for a few days. Say hello, Penelope. Hi. So I liked the yarn aspects of the story. I also appreciated when she was like talking about a yarn store. You could tell it was someone who knew about yarn and fiber and stitch markers and project bag. You know, there were just things in there that made you realize that she was a crafter like us. So I did like those things about it. Her other books, I believe she writes Amish fiction. So I think the PG thing is just kind of who she is, and that's fine. Totally. It was just a little too slow of a burn for me and not enough yarn. I love yarn, but the premise was fun. It was light. I would say grab it for a light summer beach read if you are interested. As you've seen the kind of books, if you've been here before, the types of books that I read the gambit. So this was a real light one for me. And, you know, sometimes that's nice. It was just hard to get through for some reason. And I think it just wasn't holding my attention at night before bed, which, you know, sometimes I've said I'll read 2 pages or I'll read 3 chapters. It depends on how much energy I have before bed. The other book that I finished, I finished 2 books on Audible. I finished The Survivors by Jane Harper, which I liked. It took a long time for it to get going. And by the time I was getting interested in the story, I had already missed sort of like, because it took a long time to get to the meat of the story. So I kind of had a hard time with like characters, like who was who, and how they were all connected. But that one takes place in Australia. It's a little bit of a murder mystery. There's this storm that comes into town. Like a storm just comes into town. A storm hits their town about 11 years prior to the start of this story, and it claims the life of the narrator's brother and a couple other people who are trying to save him. And another girl goes missing at the same time. And then when he comes back into town, like 11 years later, another girl's murdered. So like it's a good mystery. And once you get into it, it's really good, but it took a while to get there. But I ended up really enjoying it. I also did a little guilty pleasure read. I read Victoria and Albert, A Royal Romance or something like that by Daisy Goodwin. It was like a companion novel to the PBS Masterpiece show Victoria, which I love. And I don't feel like enough people love this. Love Victoria, and I think they stopped filming it even. The costumes are beautiful. I mean, I'm obsessed with Victoria and Albert, and they're like a weird royal love affair. Those are the royals that I'm interested in. I haven't gotten into The Crown. I've tried a few times and I just don't get into it. But to me, it's like the further back you go, the more interested I am. So anyway, I liked that, but it was pretty disjointed, but it served what I needed it to serve. And then right now on Audible, I'm listening to Jacoby by William Ritter. I'm in a rut. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I don't really know what's going on, and I only have 3 hours left in this book. So I don't know if it's a me thing or if it's a this book thing. I don't think it's a series that I do not believe I'm going to continue on with, but sometimes I will feel that way about a book until the very end, and I'm like, oh, I loved it. But like, when did I start loving it? But I don't think that's going to happen with this one. It's not bad, and I like the narration. I just don't really know what's happening. Probably a me thing, if we're totally honest. And so now that I finished Hooked on You, I am getting back into Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jake Kristoff. I'm really excited about this one. This is going to take me a while. And this is I like to show this bookmark every once in a while, because that's how you spell my first name. But yeah, so this is going to take me a while. This is now my before bed book, and I have been falling asleep because we have to wake up at 5 a few mornings a week because my daughter has POMS practice before school. And now I just got like this crazy email with like all this. I thought that this year was going to be easier with dance, with her just doing the dance team at school. And I'm like, oh my God, this is craziness. So she's got a lot of performances and practices, and I'm like feeling really overwhelmed right now. So this is going to take a while because I don't think I'm going to be awake very often at night to read it. And then just because we're knitters, probably most of us, or crafters or crocheters, I did get the Moon and Turtle book from Pom Pom magazine, mainly for this sweater, but there's also a lot of really awesome, also this hood. I don't know why I want to make that hood in the worst way. I think too, like, because you could put it down around your neck like a cowl. Here are the sisters that did the designs. They're beautiful. Their designs are awesome. The other thing that got me, I mean, the sweaters are fantastic, but then these socks, and I'm a sock knitter, like these look fun. So I'm actually planning on like reading this like a book before I dive into any of the patterns, because I think that it's going to be really interesting to read. So I don't know what I'm going to read next on Audible, or I should say listen to. I'm having a hard time lately finding things that I don't know, that I'm connecting with. So if you have any book suggestions, please leave them below. I have so many to choose from. We've all seen my pile, and I have long piles in Audible, books that I've used my credits for. And I also have a Kindle. I have books on there too. And I'm just having a hard time kind of finding a book that I really am excited about right now. So if you have anything you've read recently, or it can be true crime, it can be historical fiction, it can be contemporary fiction, it can be a romance, it can be fantasy, it can be young adult. I read it all. So if you've read anything recently that like is really just like getting you, please let me know. Leave a comment below. I am in a rut. And I don't want to be in a reading rut, because reading is one of the things that brings me a lot of joy. So anyway, that's it for today, or this episode, I should say. And thank you again for joining me, especially if you came back for this little crazy section. And I am going to try to come back in 2 weeks, but I make no guarantees. So I will talk to you soon. Have so much fun with your crafting. I hope it brings you joy and relaxation. And let me know if you're going to be casting on for the Stephen West knit along. I think I am. I'm going to wind some yarns soon. So take care. Bye.